So, welcome everyone. Nice to see you. Maybe today we can talk a little bit about the power of will and how to apply that in meditation practice. A lot of people often think that will has no place in meditation. It's an activity that is unwillful, where you're just kind of relaxing, spacing out, having a nice kind of time, and just falling into this inner emptiness or whatever it is. And that is certainly one aspect of the practice, but it is by no means complete. So there's always two facets to the practice. Number one, it is applying ourselves, or the aspect of doing as such. The other one is the aspect of being or knowing, awareness, openness, mindfulness, all that. Another thing, just on a side note, mindfulness very often is completely misunderstood. A lot of people, when I ask them, what do you think is mindfulness? If you would have to define it in terms of its function and its nature, like telling me what it is and what it does. Like people usually talk around, like they give me examples. They would say like, oh, mindfulness is, could be kind of like a decision. When I make decisions, that I'm mindful, and I'm concentrating on a certain task, or it's all this kind of really foggy kind of, did you hear that this and that celebrity actually does mindfulness every time in the morning? I'm also going to do some mindfulness now. It's kind of trendy, it's a buzzword. Let's do some mindfulness, but nobody knows exactly what it is. As soon as you ask people deeper questions, they're totally lost. There's no clarity. With like so many things. If you start to ask deeper questions, it's like, I have no idea. Like what's the universe? Oh yeah, the universe is blah, 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 and then we give some sort of book answer. But if you start asking deeper, no, really, what is it? You're quickly at the end of your wits. You don't know anymore how to answer that. We come to a realm where all our cleverness kind of is revealed as being a facade. Just empty words. Things that you've heard one day and you've learned to repeat after that. So what's mindfulness? We're talking about mindfulness. What exactly is it? What is its function? What does it do? How do you recognize when you're mindful and when you're not? And most people think mindfulness is concentration. Concentrating on something you're doing means being mindful of what you're doing. Now that's concentrating. Concentrating is concentrating. Mindfulness is mindfulness. Well, concentration requires mindfulness. It is not mindfulness. The word sati, mindfulness, originally means something akin to remembering or recollecting. So now we wonder, like, oh, remembering, recollecting, has that got anything to do with the thing I thought mindfulness was? Well, it's about keeping something in mind. Like, say, a principle. You can keep a principle in mind. You can keep in mind to apply your will. To do something with intensity, with intention, with focus, working on something, building certain qualities within yourself. And that requires mindfulness. In order to do that, you need to keep something in mind. If we are unable to keep something in mind, the mind is then scattered. It is forgetful. It forgets its object. That's the opposite. Opposite of mindfulness. Continuously forgetting the task. Your mind is like hovering all over the place. It's scattered all the time. It's sometimes here, sometimes there. Sometimes people say, oh, it's so unfair in the world. There's so many poor people and so few rich people. Oh, it's perfectly natural and normal. Why are there so few rich people? That's the same reason why there's so few mindful people. So few conscious people. So few people who do have actual powerful qualities in their minds and bodies. Because it takes a whole lot of determination and grit to build a quality within yourself, to change yourself. And most people are preferring comfort over change. And then you hear something like that, you might say, oh, well, comfort, yeah, it's bad. Comfort is not a good thing. We shouldn't stay in our comfort zone. We should develop qualities. And yeah, I do believe actually comfort is a good thing, if it's real. Like if it's proper comfort. If you're comfortable, period. If you're really comfortable, it's a great thing. Meaning you're comfortable no matter what. Someone's in your face, giving you a hard time, you're comfortable. You're losing something, you're comfortable. Your health goes down the drain, you're comfortable. You know, no matter what it is that happens to us, well, some bad things do happen to people all the time. But can you be at ease with it? Can you be comfortable with it? Seeing that, yeah, that's normal. It's normal to have a toothache. It's normal to need to see the dentist. It's normal to wake up with a headache every now and then. It's normal to be unfit, unhealthy. So it's normal to grow old. It's normal to lose friends or jobs. It's normal for things to go up and down. Death is normal. Not being safe is normal. It's normal. It's part of human life. It's the most normal thing ever. There's nothing in this world that happens that would be out of the norm, that would be out of place. Every single thing has its cause. And if there's a cause, there is a result. It's that simple. If there was no cause, there could also be no result. Every bomb that's dropped has a cause. And the causes for all those things are found in the human mind. What to say? The causes for a lot of the misery is found in the lack of mindfulness. And even more specifically, the lack of right mindfulness. Because when we talk about mindfulness, we have two. We have wrong mindfulness, or unskillful mindfulness, maybe a better word. And we have right mindfulness, skillful mindfulness. So wrong mindfulness is everything that steers you away from benefit, from long-term benefit and true happiness. Well, right mindfulness is everything that leads you toward that, to a long-term benefit and happiness. And will, applying our will, is one of those factors that causes long-term benefit and happiness if it is applied properly. And there is a force that balances your will, and that force is relaxation. If you have too much will, too little relaxation, guess what happens? You become tense. If you have too much relaxation, too little will, guess what happens? You become spaced out. Weak. So while too much will, too much strength turns you into a stiff board, like a stiff wooden board, can be broken very easily. I think the Buddha had this a beautiful example of pointing to the middle path of a musician that kind of passed down at a stream. He was sitting at a stream, and there was this musician on a boat with his student passing by, and he overheard this dialogue between the two. And the teacher was teaching the student about some sort of string instrument, and he said that he neither want to attune this string instrument too tightly nor too loosely. While this applied to something else in the Buddha's case, here it also applies. If you're too tight, too tense, you will snap. If you're too loose, you'll not produce any proper sounds. Also, we're not cultivating a wet noodle type of meditation. Like this kind of, just relaxing or spacing out with something. And I tell you honestly, most people these days are looking to space out, and it's no wonder. It makes perfect sense to me. We're living in societies where it's all about applying your will, becoming someone, getting somewhere. People have enough of it. They're tired of it. So they want to space out. So when they first come to meditation, they find a teacher that teaches them to space out. They enjoy it a lot. They love it. It's quite addictive. And then maybe they hear at some point their teacher, when they have spaced out enough, and it's a good teacher, he lets the students space out for a while because they really need it. But at some point he just pulls the string a little bit tighter, and he goes like, now apply your will, concentrate, focus, get stuff done, build something. Students are confused. It's like, what? But I thought meditation was all about spacing out. No, it's not. It's about balance more than the one extreme or the other. You want to be really skillful with your approach, meaning you need to find the balance, in this case here, between spacing out and applying yourself. And that is only something you can develop with experience. So you need to sit every day to build experience. And as you sit and you notice, wow, here I'm off the track, I'm spacing out too much. The mind becomes kind of sluggish and fuzzy and foggy. So you need to pull the string tighter. You need to bring back clarity and intentionality and apply attention to the object, keeping things in mind strongly, tightening the grip. Then when you notice, oh, you're tightening the grip too much, you're kind of getting this headache between your eyebrows, your body is tensing up again, you're becoming kind of nervous a little bit, you're going too much the other way. You're off balance. And if you manage to keep a proper object, let's say the breath, for example, is one of the recommended meditation objects, one of the most widespread. Classical meditation objects is the breath, concentrating, focusing on the breath. If you keep the breath in mind properly, and you do it well, there are results. And these results are all very pleasant. And the deeper you go, the more you're able to hold your attention with the object without forcing or pushing. Gently placing it there and keeping it there, you start to sink deeper. Your consciousness changes, it expands. And you will notice that suddenly in the body, you will feel that the body becomes energized. It starts to fill up with energy, vitality. All of a sudden you feel tingling in your body. The body does kind of weird things, maybe start twitching and so forth. Oh, your body is filling up. Your nervous system is changing. Things are changing. Good, you're making some progress. Now relax into that and open up to that. The more you open up, the more you will be confronted with yourself, the more your energy is increasing inside through stillness, because what stillness does, it increases your energy. The more you are confronted with what you need to be confronted with. And every single confrontation that we usually run away from is an opportunity for growth. Take, for example, the guys out there who are doing some construction work. It's an opportunity for growth. It's like a meditation bell. Each time you hear a sound that annoys you, it teaches you to open up, to release your tension, and to hold your attention with your object. If you do that properly, you don't even hear them anymore. They just disappear. And you're just super nice, at ease, sitting there, enjoying yourself. Your mind is very clear, very sharp, useful. Like a sharpened pencil, it's useful. You can do things with it. And so that's what applies to will and how we are using it in meditation. And it is a quality to be built. If you want to be successful, and then to come back to this example of why is not everyone rich, because people do not have mindfulness and will. Their willpower is weak, so they succumb to comfort. They have no clear goals. They might say, I wish I was rich. That's not a goal. That's daydreaming at best. I wish I was a spiritual prodigy. It's daydreaming. Is it your goal, though? Meaning, is it something that you would sacrifice a lot for? That you would sacrifice your comfort for? Then we can speak of a proper goal. Now you have a goal. You're ready to sacrifice your comfort. You have that goal is such a pull. You understand the value of the goal so well that the goal starts to pull you up. And the more it pulls you, the more uncomfortable you're going to be. But it's a nice kind of discomfort because it has a purpose. It's not just a random kind of discomfort, like chaos. But it's a very purposeful discomfort. And every time you are meeting it, every time you're crashing into it, as you pull towards your goal, every time you're confronted with something hard, an obstacle, you're reminded to let go right there and open up again. Each time you can release so much. The faster you're pulled, the faster you have to release things. And as you release all those old things in you, all those old feelings, old emotions, basically your past, you stop reliving it. You stop remaking it. And you're literally ascending slowly because you're dropping weight. You're dropping things that are heavy. Yeah. So as you meditate, you want to ascend. If you're not ascending, you're doing something wrong. If you're not pulled to the light, you're doing something wrong. And we're doing something wrong, a lot of it. That's important to know. Before you start, don't assume you're doing things right. Assume you're doing them wrong. Investigate. Don't start with the assumption of superiority. Oh, I'm doing things right, I know what I'm doing. Not such a good idea. We got to have some humility, because humility opens us up. It's a state that opens your heart, and it makes you receive guidance. If that humility is not there, you already know it all, you can't be helped. Even if the Buddha was right in front of you, couldn't help you because you already know what he's talking about. That's a catastrophe. So we need to open our hearts. And that means it's a very scary state too, humility. Just a little side note again, humility is a scary state. Because you're super confronted with what you don't want to confront it with. Your inability, your misunderstanding, your lack of understanding, your ignorance. So that's why it's pretty confronting. Isn't it something else to let go and release then? So we have to get into this habit of releasing and building. And if both are nicely in balance, you're developing, you're cultivating the path. You're getting better each day. And it is something every human being needs, in my opinion. It is this growth factor. If you're not growing, that's bad news. Most people get depressed because they have nothing to grow with. They're not growing. They're kind of just in a comfort state. It's really frustrating. And many people don't know why they're so depressed and so unhappy, and why they give up believing in themselves and all that. There's no growth. Very important, growth. Spiritual growth, mental growth, personal growth, physical growth. Things want to grow, like plants. Like everything in the universe wants to expand. You support that. You feed it with your attention. It grows. And if your attention is not stable, it can't grow consistently. It'll grow and it'll collapse. It'll grow and collapse again. So, if you want to be a spiritual billionaire, you have to put in the equivalent of work that it would be required to become a financial billionaire. But you have to put that work in the spiritual realm. It's a simple law. It's a natural law. If you want a specific outcome in return, you have to put the equivalent of effort in to achieve it. And the effort in meditation is a fine-tuning of letting go, spacing out, and applying will. So that's all that comes to mind for today. Are there any questions?
How you can understand the way between the will from the ego and from the soul, from the path?
Will is, you have to be identified to have will. Like, think of your ego as your boat that gets you to the island. You need it. And you better have a good one. Many people, it's kind of ego is this word in the spiritual scene that everyone is kind of like, it's the dirty word, right? Ego. Oh, you're not supposed to have an ego. Oh, that was my ego. I'm so sorry. You know? You need an ego. Without it, you wouldn't be able to function in the world. We need a sense of self. Wow, if you lose your sense of self because maybe you have a stroke or something, it's a very scary thing. It can disturb you greatly. Like some people, due to a stroke, they've lost their past. It's terrifying. It's everything I was. It confuses them deeply. It traumatizes them. They're unable to function for the rest of their lives. And maybe they have to learn again and, start all over. But losing yourself, it's not a good idea if it's premature. So use your ego well, and part of using your ego well is applying your will to the right objects. So to the island, so to say. You need to drive the boat to the island. It's not about, just hanging out in your boat. Won't get you very far, right?
I mean, you can take from the past how to deal with it and then understand
Correct.
that
Yes.
will be
Yes.
partnership.
Yeah. So we need to really use our human skill set that we have and make it better, make it work in a better, more powerful way.
Because you are imbalanced.
Yeah. It's like Thanissaro Bhikkhu, he said a very nice thing. He said, like, if you want to let go like a millionaire. Not like a poor person. Because a poor person has nothing to let go of. If you let go properly, you let go like a millionaire. You let go of something that's truly worthwhile leaving behind. You have something that you leave behind, right? You have footsteps. And it's good footsteps that other people can follow and benefit from. You leave like an inheritance behind that is beneficial for the world. Before you abandon the world, you lead a good life. You're helpful, you're compassionate, you're kind, you're there for others. You have an open heart, and all that. It's so important. And this is all personal skills. Then once you reach transcendence, these skills become impersonal, but they're still functioning and working through you. But until then, it's perfect to have these skills as personal skills. Like you have a good boat, get you to the island faster than how do you call this, like a rowing boat? Yeah. Rowing was a very hard workout. Swimming is even harder. You're just having like a wooden log. But if you have a really fast boat, you get there very fast. The idea is to build these skills so you're not exhausting yourself unnecessarily on the way, but you have a lot of energy available and you are able to transform it into amazing results, which are really beneficial for everybody that comes in touch with you. It's a path of service also. It's not just only a path of me wanting to be enlightened, but it's a path of service. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming.